got another three-team trade for the MLB. The three teams involved are the Rays, the Marlins, and the Red Sox. The Rays traded with the Marlins and the Red Sox. I'll start with the Rays and the Marlins trade first. The Rays traded reliever John Curtis to the Marlins for minor league first baseman Evan Edwards. And as for the trade between the Rays and the Red Sox dealt minor leaguer catcher Ronaldo Hernandez and minor league infielder Nick Sagard. I think I said that right. For right-handed pitcher Chris Mazza and left-handed pitcher Jeffrey Springs and cash. It doesn't say how much money exactly they gave him, but only gave him money. Um, John Curtis went 3-0 with a 1.8 ERA in 17 games last year and had a 6.3 ERA in 10 innings in the postseason for the Rays, who lost to the World Series Dodgers last season. And he has a career 3.83 ERA for the Angels and the Twins, which actually isn't that bad. As for Chris Mazza, he pitched 9 games as the starter and reliever for the Red Sox last year and went 1-2 with a 4.8 ERA. And Springs went 0-2 with a 7.08 ERA in 16 games out of the bullpen. And this was reported by ESPN Associated Press. So you go first, Mario. What do you think of the Rays trading with both the Marlins and the Red Sox?
First of all, I'll start with John Curtis. Congratulations to John Curtis on joining the Miami Marlins. And look, I gotta be honest with you. Like, well, congratulations to Chris Mazza and Jeffrey Springs as well on their joining their new teams. I gotta be honest with you. I don't know what the Red Sox are doing. I really don't. Like,
I,
it's a
I
joke.
don't either.
I'm gonna be honest. Like, I'm saying it right now, and I'm not. And you know me. Like, I'm the calm one here. This is a joke. It's a joke. It really is. You're gonna get rid of Chris Mazza, who like he didn't have the worst season, but he did have the best season. I agree, right? But you're gonna get rid of him for a guy who has a 7 ERA.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
what do you like exactly? What are you doing? Who went 0-2? Now, I'm not saying like Jeffrey Springs can't can't reach his prime.
Wait.
Obviously people's primes come in different times of their career depending on who the person is. Some people's primes come early, some people's primes come late. That absolutely happens. But like, I don't understand. They enter these trades, and whether they're the main focal point of the trade or they're not, they're always getting worse players. They're always doing it. They can't trade to get better players. Look, you trade to go get John Curtis. You go trade to get when you traded Mookie Betts, you could have got Kenton Maeda. You could have got these guys. You know what I'm saying? Instead, you're just settling, and that's not. And I'm sorry, but these executives for the Red Sox, they're not aggressive. They're not simple. As for the Rays, I can slow. I'm gonna get off the Red Sox, but as for the Rays, I can slowly start seeing a rebuild coming.
I agree.
I can slowly see it. You got rid of Blake Snell. He's no longer with that team. You got rid of John Curtis. Now he's no longer with that team. Right now, it's the pitching. I can slowly start seeing that, that rebuild mode come into play. Now you still have your batters. You still have like Randy Rosarina. You still have help me out here, Nate. It's been a minute since we watched.
The dude in the outfield. I can't remember his name. I know you got what's
Kiermaier,
yeah, Kevin Kiermaier. Yep. Man, it's tough. G-Man Choi. That's his name.
Troy, Brandon Morrow, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I mean, and I'm obviously like I'm gonna type it in right now because I know we haven't seen it in a minute. Yeah, so they still have Tyler Glasgow, which is really good. Will Adames, he's a pretty decent player. Brandon Lowe, Brett Phillips, Austin Meadows, Mike Zanino. So they got yeah, like I said, they got a very good lineup on them. You know what I'm saying? Joey Wendell, obviously we know about him. Diego Castillo, Ryan Yarbrough, Yandy Diaz. So the Chris Archer, I think, rejoined, correct?
Correcto.
Yeah, we made a video on that. But I mean, like, let's be honest here, Nate. Like, I feel like the Rays are really going into a rebuild mode. It's slowly happening, and they still got most of their team. But you get rid of a good pitcher like John Curtis, and obviously we know about Blake Snell, so we don't got to talk about him no
Yeah,
more.
Charlie Morton.
Charlie Morton, right? They got rid of him as well, correct? So pitching wise, it seems like you're going into a whole rebuild mode. It seems like you're trying to go through a clean slate with pitching. Now, as for the Marlins, like, look, this is a good move for them now. It's a good move. You know what I'm saying? They made it to the playoffs last year. They ended up getting eliminated by help me out here.
Graves.
Braves, right? Yeah, I thought it was the Braves. They got eliminated by the Braves. So obviously the Marlins are feeling like, hey, we could be a playoff contending team. So let's get some guys to kind of help us get over that hump. Problem with now the questions I have with the Marlins is you played in a short season, you made it. Can you make it in a long season?
Right.
Can you make it when the 162 games are played? And that's my question to them. So with that being said, obviously I wish the three teams the best of luck, including the Red Sox. But just a quick summary here, the Red Sox are just making poor moves. The Rays are slowly going through a rebuild mode, and the Marlins are slowly building that team up. And that's all I got to say for this topic. And I'll pass it on to you, Nate.
Right. And yeah, like I said, I just want to wish everybody the best of luck in here. I mean, on paper, you look at this trade, and I'll actually write it in the description down below because this is just another confusing three-team trade. So I'll just write it down in the description below so you guys can read that if you want to. Um, on paper, it looks like the Marlins won this. I mean, they got a really good reliever. I mean, 1.8 ERA, 3-0 out of the bullpen. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. But reason why I can't say who won this trade, those minor leaguers, man. Those minor
Right.
leaguers, you don't know what they're gonna do. That's the thing. You gotta watch out for them. That's why I say on paper. Because yeah, on paper the Marlins got a better player, and that's absolutely true. We don't know what these minor leaguers are gonna do if they actually gonna have an impact on the Red Sox moving forward. So we can't say that for sure. Let me start with the Red Sox. I absolutely agree with you, man. I've been saying it from the very beginning. This team does not know what they want to do. It's as simple as that. Ever since we won the World Series back in 2018, it's just been nothing but poor decisions. Then we got busted. Then we got busted for the cheating allegations, which happened, and we lost off that. We lost a couple of drafts. We lost Alex Cora. Now he's back, but we don't know if he's gonna, even be any good. We have to watch to find that out. But there are so many players the Red Sox. Now, I'm not saying you could have gotten all of these players, but you could have gotten some of them. You could have gotten Blake Snell, Trevor Bauer, Corey Kluber, Liam Hendricks.
George Springer.
I know there's more players out there you could have gotten. You could have made a move for Marcell Ozuna. You would have had to give up a couple of players, but you could have done that.
George Springer.
George Springer. You could have gotten George Springer. There's all these elite players. A lot of those guys that I mentioned, or all of them. You could have even gotten Charlie Morton. A lot of these guys that you got, and let me go back to that Dodgers trade when we shipped off Mookie Betts and David Price. Not only could we have gotten Kenta Maeda, we could have gotten Jock Peterson too. We didn't do that. In my eyes, if you're getting rid of in that trade Mookie Betts and David Price, I think it's fair if you give us those two guys. He didn't. They went Jock Peterson stayed with the Dodgers and Kenta Maeda went off to the Twins. I don't know how they got involved, but that's another story for another time. My problem with the Red Sox, and I absolutely agree, they're not aggressive. Am I saying get all of those players I mentioned? No, that's impossible. Like, yeah, I don't even think we have that kind of market to do that. Maybe the Dodgers can, but not us. We used to, but times have changed, man. Well, I'm saying you could have gotten a couple of those guys. Maybe a veteran pitcher in Corey Kluber, a young arm in Blake Snell, and maybe that outfield support in George Springer. You could have gotten at least two, three guys out of that, but you didn't. You just let them go off to the Padres, the Blue Jays, your own rival. You went off to the Braves. I mean, come on, man. I don't know what this team wants to do no more. Honestly, I'm gonna still root for the Red Sox. The Red Sox are the Red Sox. That's what we do. But like, I can't see them doing anything in the next couple of years. They need to figure it out. And if they can't figure it out, these guys that run this team need to go because there's no way that you passed up on all those guys that I mentioned are not Hall of Fame. Excuse me. They're all stars. They all made it to the playoffs that year. They all got playoff experience. They can help this team, and you just pass up on. I don't know what this team wants to do, man. Um, but yeah, anyway, that's enough of my rant with the Red Sox. I'll go on to the Rays, and I agree, man. I mean, look, man, I said it for the last couple of years with the Rays. They made some moves to me that were just like, eh. And the reason why that is because the Rays have one of the smallest markets in baseball, or actually not even baseball in sports. They don't have a big market. It's just because of where they play. Basically all the Florida teams don't have a big market. The Marlins don't have a big market. The Dolphins don't really have a big market. The Jaguars don't. I think the only team that the only couple of teams that have a relatively decent market is the Lightning and the Heat. And you could make a case for the Buccaneers, but they're still not that big of a market either. I mean, all the Florida teams. My point is that all the Florida teams. Oh, and the Magic, they don't have a big market either. What I'm trying to say is though the Florida teams don't really have a big market because their economy is different. I don't know. It really depends on where the teams played. Like that's why teams like the Dodgers have such a big markets because where they play. They play in California. They got that kind of market. So like, and the reason why I mention that is because the Rays get these players for such small amounts of money, and you're like, did this dude come from the minors? This dude was just like a bench player, but they made them into stars. They went to the World Series. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that they will do it again. Maybe they could, but I would say keep that in mind because with that small market team made these players good enough to go to a World Series. You know what I mean? So keep that in mind. As for the Marlins, I mean, yeah, like you said, the question is, can they go back to the postseason? Personally, and this is just me, I think they could, but they gotta get it on the ball because you're in a very competitive NL East now. You got the Braves, the Nationals are on the come up, and so are the Mets, and I think there's another team. There's another team in there. The Phillies, yeah, the Phillies, they're on the come up too somewhat. So all four of those teams are competing now, and that NL East can go to anybody. So the Marlins, I think the biggest trick for the Marlins this year is if they can keep that team intact, they have to compete with those other four teams in their division too. So I mean, and can they do it? Yeah, anything's possible. I can't tell you for sure if they're gonna make the playoffs. I personally think they can if they get all four cylinders going. But if they can't, then expect the Marlins to miss yet another playoffs. But with that said, good luck to all the players that were involved in this trade. Congratulations to them, and good luck to the Rays, Marlins, and the Boston Red Sox.